Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this analysis of EOM 1, the first of your actual CAT papers for 2021 CAT. So let's start with the VARC analysis. Let's take a look at the VARC sectional as is mentioned here and as was announced to you earlier was based completely on the CAT 20 pattern. In fact, the entire paper has been based on the CAT 20 pattern. Let's take a look at the sectional, VRC sectional in detail, understand the number of attempts that could have been made, and what exactly are the expected number of questions to be attempted and the score for the expected percentiles. So the pattern was 26 questions, like CAT 2020 verbal sectional was, 40 minutes, and had a division of 18 questions of RC, two RCs with 5 questions each, and two RCs with 4 questions each, 3 parajumbles, 3 summary questions, and 2 out of context questions. You will want to consider the difficulty level of this paper as a moderate to difficult one. It wasn't an easy paper like the original OMC that all the Endeavour students had seen. The OMC 0 paper had a fairly doable VARC sectional. This was compared to that more difficult. Let's look at why we are rating this as a moderate to difficult sectional. So what were the RCs like? Look at the different topics that were involved. The first RC was based on geology, unveiling the eighth continent, made for very interesting reading. It was an interesting topic, but a rather lengthy passage, 575 words to be read in a matter of, the limited time of 40 minutes is not easy. 5 questions based on this. So the passage itself was okay to read. The language was moderate and therefore it made for easy reading. It was interesting too, but the questions were quite challenging. You'll find that there are at least 2 questions that are marked difficult. 2 of these questions were inferences, 2 questions are specific detailed questions. So when you look at it, on face value, specific detailed questions should be direct questions and therefore easy, but they were not. The length of the options is one challenge here. The second is that some of these inference and specific detail questions were to do with except, that is, which of the following can answer this question is the right idea or can be drawn from this idea except. So that made for more time to be spent per question. You not only had to read every option very carefully, you also had to eliminate every option and arrive at which one does not answer this question. So that made for time consumption. The RC also was pretty long. One logical structure question, which is that logical continuation, could be done if you understood the RC, could be taken easily. Let's look at, which should have been our various RCs. What should we have selected after we analyze the 4 RCs, okay? So what was our second RC? Ecology, genetic evolution of a herb, the excessive harvesting of that herb that was done leads to how its evolution, a change, right? Now, 515 words, fairly lengthy, not very lengthy, but fairly lengthy. 4 questions. Again, the language per se, it was easy to read. You could understand the language, nothing difficult about the language. But the questions again, you will find one is difficult, the weekend question, because you wouldn't know how to address this. The further application question, if you are able, if you have understood the passage well, you'd be able to take this. The inference and specific detail again were a little time consuming, though we've marked it as moderate, time consuming because the options are lengthy, right? But you can see that there are 3 questions marked moderate here and only 1 marked difficult. Let's look at the next one, sociology. It's more to do with sociology and its relationship with economy, because we are talking of stereotypes, we are talking of attitudes, we are talking of certain ideas that have brought about a tourism boom in Europe's icy north. Can things change here? The tourism boom that has happened, what are the factors that led to it? And is that healthy? Is that a healthy change that has come in? So interesting one, but the language was not extremely easy and direct. You'd have to read very carefully because there were references made to the indigenous communities of the IC North, the northern part of Europe, and a reference to their cultural practices, etc. So you had to read that carefully. Not difficult, not abstract, but moderate to read. We won't mark this as easy to read. 460 odd words. Look at the questions here. And you will find that there are more number of questions marked difficult, 3 difficult questions. Once again, because most of these inferences had to do with the except part. Lengthy options, read it carefully, a lot of details to remember in the passage itself, a lot of ideas that keep changing about, quite analytical that way. So made for rather challenging exercise with 3 difficult questions and 2 moderate ones. Nothing, very challenging about the question type because they were inferences and specific detailed questions. But yes, the options were tricky. The 4th RC, Environment and Public Policy, spoke of the economic value of trees, 510 words, 4 questions here. Moderate to read again. We won't mark that as easy because there were quite a few things that were loaded. There was a bit of jargon here and there. You have to read it carefully, basically. However, specific detail question was easy. After 14 questions, you come across 1 question that's been marked easy. The inference was moderate, the specific detail question was moderate, and the strengthened question was difficult for 2 reasons. One, most of you may not be in a position to understand how to approach this question. 2, yes, the options were fairly lengthy, and there were 2 very close options which were difficult to eliminate. So when you look at it, this one, not a lengthy one, slightly heavy in language, but easy questions. Perhaps you could take this. This one, you will want to read it because you'll feel that, okay, we are talking about tourism here, should be easy, but the questions are really challenging. So what we would have settled for is the ecology passage, which is the genetic evolution of a herb that we're talking about because the questions were easy. 4 questions here. The first one, you would have started with it because it looks like a readable passage, but a couple of questions you would have gotten stuck with. So maybe at least 3 or 4 attempts here. And, almost all questions attempted here, perhaps maybe the weakened one you might drop. Here, you may get into this passage, but if you will have found that a lot of your inaccuracy is here. The mistakes in your answers are here. You will have gotten into this one too and got most of them right, except maybe the strengthened question. So certainly the 4th passage, the second one and the first one is what we are looking at in terms of selection, the right selection. What about parajumbling? The language was moderate, and you'll find that all 3 actually can be marked moderate. Okay, the first one, in fact, is easy because the links are very easy. You're able to relate that there's an easy opening sentence, and then you are able to make the connections very easily. So you know how taking a walk is necessary. You first come up with the research that has come about it, and then an explanation about why exposure to nature or taking a walk is good. And then finally comes that sentence which gives examples of famous personalities that have actually, practiced walking and being with nature, which has boosted their creativity and productivity. So very easy. The second one, again, the links are quite visible. You have to look carefully for it. The Nashville Centennial Exposition one, you have to look for it, but it can be done. The third one, the language appears so simple and you feel that I can very easily manage this. But both, you have this 4-3 link and you're not sure should it be 3-4 or 4-3. Even the 1-2 link, which actually is 2-1, unless you notice that word this country, right? Unless you notice this given in 1, you will want to start with 1. Okay, and therefore mark it as 1-2, but it's actually 2-1. So that's what makes this question a tricky one. Okay, this kind of trickiness you won't find in the other 2, though the sentences of 19 and 20 are difficult. But yes, you could have taken at least 2 here. Next, What about the summary questions? Lengthy, with lengthy options also, this entire segment can be marked as fairly challenging, especially at your level now, with not much of practice or reading exposure. You will have found all three questions fairly challenging. Okay, but we are not assessing the difficulty level of the questions from your viewpoint or your preparation level. The difficulty level of the questions is being assessed from the actual level of the cat and the expected standard, the expected learning that you will eventually get when you are taking actual cat. So considering that, the 22nd one is marked moderate because the points are very systematic. There is a nice structure given there. You can identify the ideas. Whereas the 23rd and the 24th one, not only are they slightly more lengthy, 110 and 120 words, they're also difficult because the paragraphs themselves are fairly challenging to read and understand. Anything to do with science, particularly when you get into details and use a lot of jargon, can be challenging. So narrowing it down to that correct option is also very difficult. So all in all, this entire segment could have been avoided because you will end up spending a lot of time here. Okay. The out of context questions, the language was moderate. The 5 sentences, however, the sentences were lengthy. In fact, if you compare this to the parajumbles would have been a better investment for you this time because the sentences were crisp and not heavy in reading. The language was moderate, but the sentences were lengthy. Sometimes 1 or 2 sentences itself ran into so many lines that you had to spend time there. Okay. However, having said that, the distilleries one was a moderate one. The odd sentence stood out very, very obviously, whereas the veneration for achievement was a very, very close one, very difficult for you to identify that this particularly is the sentence that is out of context. Okay. So yes, parajumbles would have been a better investment. And we already spoke of how the 3 RCs could have been taken with maybe one odd question left here and there. So when you think of all this in those 40 minutes, there isn't a lot of questions that you can solve. Okay. And that makes, look at how we've marked all these questions, just 2 easy ones that we came across, one parajumble and one in that last RC. 13 moderate questions, out of which obviously, you'd be expected to take 11, 12, or maybe at least a 10, 11. Difficult questions, 11 of them. But some of you might have found a couple of questions okay. So maybe a 4 or 5 to be taken here. And that definitely would be the expectation for a 98 percentile. That is, you're looking at a 17, 18 attempts and at an 80% accuracy, which is normally the expected accuracy for verbal. I mean, anything beyond that is wonderful. But reaching up to an 80% accuracy in verbal itself is a challenge. You'll find that while attempting a lot of questions is easy, a lot of you might have over attempted to. Many of you might have attempted all 26 questions, which is a very bad thing to do because that means you're not selecting, you're not spending enough time and the expected or right time per question, okay, which is to be done. Because it's not just about reading and marking whatever comes your way, but about also understanding the question and what is the expectation of the question and how these options are to be eliminated. Because unless you eliminate the options, you cannot arrive at the correct one. That is a very, very careful and a structured approach. That means you cannot really attempt all 26 questions. So a good bet would be 17, 18 questions carefully selected and 80% accuracy of it, which means we are looking at a score of about 41 for a 98 percentile. 44, a score of 44 would fetch you a 99 percentile. A score of 54 plus would be your 100 percentile. A score of 37 is a 95 percentile. A score of 33 is a 90 percentile. And a score of 28 is an 80 percentile. Reaching an 80 percentile in this exam, this sectional, reaching even a 90 percentile for some of you should not be a challenge. But in this particular sectional, reaching a 99 percentile or even a 98 percentile would have been challenging because of the time consumption in reading the questions, understanding the options and eliminating the options. All right. I hope this has given you enough, exposure and some learning regarding how verbal sectionals can be approached. Of course, there'll be a lot of learning coming your way in the months to come with one EOM every month. All right. I hand this over to Belvi sir now, Srinivas sir, for an analysis of the DILR sectional. Over to you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I will take you through the DILR section of the UAM1. So I believe most of you might have felt this particular section to be moderate, right? If it is not tough, you might have felt it to be of moderate difficulty level. So as I explained, probably you will try and understand what I'm talking about. So firstly, even before I start this particular section, so let me take you as to what stage of preparation you should be. There is nothing to panic to start with, because I know that at this point in time, each one of you could be at a different stage of your prep, right? That's quite, that's how it would be more or less. Okay, let's take a look here. So either you would be a beginner, which means you just started off your preparation, not maybe about a month or maybe about a couple of weeks, or a couple of months. So intermediate is somebody who has done about 2 units of quant, a bit of RC, a bit of grammar, right, and a bit of verbal logic. So I would call you at the intermediate level of preparation. Maybe about you prepared for about 4 to 5 months by now. Intermediate level of preparation. Advanced is someone like who has kind of done their CAT preparation. They're almost about to finish their CAT preparation. Very rare at this point in time, but yeah, quite possible. If somebody has taken the previous CATs, has some exposure. Sure, all right. So everybody had something in this particular paper. Firstly, don't panic about the scores that you would have got. It's not about that. So it's about learning from each test and trying to look forward to the next one and try to improvise from there. Right. And coming to this particular DILR section, it's about how do you invest your 40 minutes? You need to have a plan of action, right? So one common commodity, one common resource all of us have while writing this particular test is 40 minutes, right? Irrespective of whatever be your preparation, 40 minutes is all that I have. So idea is how well do I use my 40 minutes? Right at this point in time, rather than having a relative measure, I versus somebody, it can be about how do I use my 40 minutes could be the thought here. That's what I mean by planning, especially when it comes to the DILR. If you select the wrong sets, probably it kills a lot of your time, right? So therefore you do planning with respect to what you read. Couple of sets in the beginning, you don't stick to the first set first, right? So you read couple of sets and then you kind of select couple of them, saying that okay, so let me do this, let me do the other one, and then you sequence them. Which one you want to do first? Probably you might have shortlisted, let me do these 3 sets. So then you sequence them, which one you want to start with, because you got to kind of build your confidence as you start going through that particular section. Definitely, naturally, you want to do something which builds that confidence. Therefore, you go by sequencing. What are the parameters? How do you decide that, okay, I'm selecting this particular sets? One, by familiarity. If you have done something like that before, sounds familiar, the logic sounds pretty familiar on that. So somewhere closer to what you approached, right? Familiarity is one. Second one is your strength. Sometimes you understand inherent strength. Somebody is good with numbers, right? Addition of numbers, subtraction of numbers. Something will be related to the numbers, right? Therefore, you understand about the charts. So you understand that DI is kind of your strength. Some people, on the other hand, they're getting familiar with the numbers. They lost touch with numbers. So then all it now, it might not be the right time to invest your time on numbers. That's a DI. Some people are fine with the logic, right, more than with the numbers, the kind of organizing the data, arranging the data, getting something out of that. So it's a pure logic, right? So you may have to search for the sets which are logic based. Go by your strength. These are the different parameters. One by familiarity, second by strength. Some people are at the combination of DI and LR. We call it as a reasoning based DI, right? There is a combination. It is not too intense with the data. It is neither intense with the logic. It's kind of a combination of them. So these are the 3 kinds of sets on the face of it you kind of get in the DILR section, right? And also, what is other parameters that you look for? So MCQs, that is multiple choice questions, and non-MCQs. Generally, multiple choice questions give the reassurance of what answer you got, right? So if it's a non-MCQ, there is no reassurance on the answer because there is a box. That's a theta, right? So type in the answer. You got to type a number by using screen keyboard, right? So therefore, it might be a little challenging because there is no reassurance. You're investing your time, but there is no reassurance that is that answer right. These are the multiple parameters probably that you kind of consider while you are doing a selection and the sequencing. Okay, it sounds pretty difficult at this point in time. It looks cumbersome, but yes, this happens it becomes very automatic once you start being mindful and start practicing that. Okay, question selection within a set. Just because you decided a set doesn't mean that all questions within that would be of the same difficulty level. Sometimes you need to be mindful about it. If there are 4 questions on a data interpretation, it might happen that author might have created one of those particular questions highly calculation intensive, or answer options are pretty close to decide between them. Right, therefore, within a set, within those 4 questions or 5 questions on that particular set, it is possible that a few of them are easy, a few of them may be of medium difficulty level, the few of them may be really difficult. So therefore, if you can understand that, okay, this is one question already, it might take a little more time. I'm not getting hang of this once I read just by reading that particular question. Rereading is required on that. Then you understand that, okay, this might not be the kind of question that I want to do within that particular set. Do the remaining 3 out of 4 or do the remaining 3 out of 5 and then move on from there, right? That judgment is important. Don't try to be a perfectionist saying that, okay, just because I understood this particular set, I may have to do all 5 questions or all 4 questions on that particular set. Not necessary. If you have understood 3 of those questions, 3 of the 5 are making sense, or 2 of 4 are making sense, do it and move on from there. Right now, these are certainly internal strategies that you have to develop over a period of time. Good. Let's keep this in mind and let's assume that, okay, somebody who is adequately prepared for a test, how that person might have approached this particular test, right? I don't speak from the beginner's perspective. Let me speak from the perspective of somebody who is adequately prepared for a particular test, then how this person might have approached it. Let's take a look. There was a first question. So this is based on weighted averages. Those who have done sufficient quant, those who have sufficient exposure to DI, after reading this particular set, they realize that, okay, this is based on weighted average concept, right? There is a simple average and weighted average. It's a quant-based reasoning. This is built upon the concept of weighted average. If someone after reading this set realized that it's weighted average, my concept of weighted averages are fine, then probably you could have picked it up either in the first round or in the second round. Naturally, just by reading this particular set, you don't stop there. You read almost about 3 or 4 sets. Quick reading there to understand which you are most familiar with, and you are going to start from that particular set. But after reading this set, maybe a cursory reading or a quick reading, you would realize that, okay, or you should realize that if your mind says that, hey, this is simply built on the concept of weighted average, then fairly good. Okay, then you got the concept behind this particular set. You could have approached. Otherwise, fighting with this set doesn't make any sense. Then it will shift to the second round. If you get that, okay, it's based on the weighted average, probably you can beat it at the first round. In the first round itself, it not be the first set, but at least you will consider as a priority. That's what I mean by the first round. Otherwise, what you do, you push it. And then you will come back to it towards the end based on those 40 minutes. So you say that towards the end, if there is a time left, I will come back to this particular set. What was this? Maybe about 6 to 8 minutes and between 2 to 4 questions, right? Because there were 2 MCQs and 2 non-MCQs. Some of them already, even after understanding it is built on the weighted average, probably already you can spend say 6 to 8 minutes kind of time and get about 2 questions out of 4, 3 questions out of 4, or all 4 questions. Depends how confident you are with this particular concept, right? So that could be a good bet. Even after doing about 2 questions could have been a good bet. First round or second round depends on what kind of person you are, right? It's a DI person, LR person, or a quant-based reasoning kind of person. Did you get the concept or not? That determines whether you are doing this in the first round or in the second round, right? And this was the sitter. This particular set was a sitter. Everyone who is writing this test, it's a must. If someone has left this, probably you may have to look at the video solution that's been uploaded, or probably you might have to take a look at the solutions, right? Both solutions and video solutions. Solutions is the written solution, so that as well as the video solutions, or you could watch to find out how did you miss on this particular setup, right? It's a blunder. If somebody has not done this, it's a blunder. So which means you didn't understand the nuts and bolts of the LRDI kind. It's a pretty simple one, right? So therefore, you must have done this, and it doesn't take much time as well. It should take about 5 minutes kind of time, where you'll get flat all 4 answers, right? So it's a first round question for any of us. Well, okay, and here is a chart, I'll let know, which is built. Already here is a chart where you have classified the data into two parts. One based upon the company, so based upon the company and the brands which belongs to that particular company. There were 11 brands which belong to 5 companies. You just have to map the numbers, number mapping. Somebody good with data crunching, somebody good with numerical skills could have done it pretty fast, right? It's not a difficult set, but somebody who is not clear with the numbers might have taken some time because the feeling is not great, because you're working trying to map 11 numbers on one hand with the 5 numbers on the other hand. So number crunching skills, fairly good with numbers because they're all single digit numbers, nice numbers to deal with, single 2-digit numbers, so easy to deal with. Might have done either in the first round or in the second round, so whichever way it is built up, it depends upon how good you are with the numbers. Somebody good with the numbers definitely would have picked it in the first round. Not so good with numbers, probably will come back and do it, but you will do it. All right, no, this is one doable set out here, right? At least 2 out of 4 questions were kind of pretty much doable. That's important. It's not that you got to do all 4 questions. Whichever 2 questions are making some meaningful sense, do them and move on from there. Right? Yeah, here is a question 30 into 16. This is a pure logical reasoning set, and not very difficult one as well, because there were only 5 people and the preference of 5 courses. See, if there is more data, you've got to deal with 7 people or 8 people or about 10 people. That's cumbersome. But when you're dealing with 5 people and 5 subjects, it's not really cumbersome. That's one way of understanding it. Is it a doable set or not? If too many parameters or there are too many people you're trying to map with, then yes, right, there is a complexity involved with the data. But then with few numbers, right, with 5, right, with 5 as the number, and once you read it, you understand it. It's pretty simple, right? So therefore, probably already you could have fought with this, the LR guys, those who prefer to do a logical reasoning or analytical reasoning. I'm sure you would have preferred this and done it in the first round. No, I'm not an LR guy, I'm more a TI guy. You would have pushed it to the second round. Depends, but it's a more doable set, right? Now, whether in the first round or second round, I'm sure you would have come back and attempted this particular set. This is one of the finest, it's one of the easier LR sets out there. Right, yeah, so very much between the easy to medium kind of. Might have taken some time based upon the speed at which you do things at this point in time. Might have taken somewhere between 7 to 9, 7 to 10 kind of minutes, but you could have got answers for all 4 questions. And good thing about this set was all 4 were MCQs. Therefore, there is always a reassurance on the answers that you are getting there, right? So that's 30 into 16. Again, 17 to 20. This was again on the number crunching. This is a point-based reasoning, right? Therefore, there were 21 numbers. That's a volume game. So there are 21 numbers. You have to get that one line of reasoning right there. There were black marbles, white marbles, and total marbles. So you've got to get that count. All right, you've got to get this idea of these 21 numbers. There is one small trick. Watch the video solution or watch the solution. In fact, you didn't get it. Pretty simple, elegant set it is. So once you get that opening sentence, opening point there, once you know that how to unlock this particular set, it's all then from there all it snowballs. It just rolls over and then you'll get the answer from there, because numbers are pretty good. If you look at the numbers, so they're all nice numbers, 10, 100, 90, 70. So dealing with these kind of, it's not like 63, 78, 91, or then addition, subtraction, these things might be a little cumbersome. With these kind of numbers, it doesn't put too much of pressure on dealing with the additions or the subtractions. Whatever the calculation that is involved with these numbers, right? Yeah, so so this is one of the sets. Again, those who are with the data crunching, if you have got that first line of reasoning right out there, you could have done it in the first round. Otherwise, you could have pushed it in the second round, right? Sometimes if you didn't get that line of reasoning right, you might have left as well, right? Yeah, so possibility. So I'm not saying that this must have been done. It depends. It depends, this particular set. 21 to 24 is something that clearly should be avoided by everybody, right? Because there was sufficient data and you got to understand it. Now, this was a challenging set. Nice to do. Look at the video solution for this particular set or go through the solution. So whichever way it is, then yes, there's a good learning there. Good learning, it goes a little deeper. This one particular set was the difficult set in the entire paper. Right, so this is something which could have been avoided, right? It looks nice to read. Right? There are some bulbs, there are some switches. It's very inviting to read, no doubt about it, but then not really pleasant to solve, right? So something what is pleasant to read is not necessarily pleasant to solve. These are 2 different issues there. Okay, so that's fairly about the understanding of these sets. Therefore, all in all, if you just take a quick look at this particular data, onto the left-hand side, you find that there was one easy set out here. There was one easy set. And there was one actually between this easy to moderate, that LR was just tending between that easy to moderate kind of. And there were two sets which are of medium difficulty level there. And one set was little time consuming. It was medium difficulty level, but it was just little time consuming. That was the first one with the weighted average. It might have taken some time. You have to do the little bit of weighted averages on that. Maybe that is little time consuming. And the last one on the bulbs and switches is the difficult one. So therefore, I suggest, I think like, somewhere already you could have attempted these 4 sets. Of these 4 sets, even 3 sets could have been a good bet if somebody could have targeted and mindfully. Even if you have taken 10 minutes overall time for selection, still to do 3 sets, you would have got 30 working minutes. 30 working minutes to do about 3 sets could have been good even for a beginner, right? Using the raw talent, you could have still done about 3 sets, right? If you are mindful about it, not panicking during the test time, you could have done that. Okay, nevertheless, right? So even for the 98 percentile, let's go with the green out here, 98 percentile, because at 98 percentile, you'll get most of the good B school calls. Therefore, we take 98% as the key figure out there. So looking at the 98 percentile, doing about 13 attempts, not a big deal, about 3 to 4 sets, about 13 attempts, maybe with 1 or 2 mistakes, getting a score of 36 could have given 98 percentile. Think about it, it's very encouraging. Just get about to do about 3 sets, maybe about 12 questions, 3 to 4 sets, between 3 to 4 sets, get about 12 questions right, all 12 right, or 12 attempts with 12 questions could also have given you 36 marks, right? 3 marks per question. Yeah, so getting 98 percentile was not really challenging for somebody who is adequately prepared, right? Yeah, and at least about 80 percentile, let's say that somebody who is targeting about 80 percentile, maybe about 2 sets could have been a better bet, right? Even if you are a beginner, you could have definitely done somewhere closer to between 2 and 3 sets. That could have given you about 80 percentile, which is a good holding number. It's a nice way to prepare from there. Okay, so just keep these points in mind when you are attempting the next UIM. It's a long journey. We'll be doing about close to 20 to 2 dozen UIMs that would be doing. So it's a long journey. During the journey, definitely you will improve from here. So keep these points in mind. Probably when you go for the next UIM, do a little bit of mental rehearsal as to what we are trying to tell. Your approach with the right mindset, I'm sure already you will reap the benefits, get better scores. Thank you. Shivam sir, over to you. Shivam sir will take you through the quant section.
Thank you, sir. Yes, good evening, students. Here we are with the final section of EOM 1, that is quant section analysis. So this is how I'll be proceeding, QA section analysis. I'll be covering topic distribution. So this is where we get an idea of how many questions were present in this paper from each of the chapter. Basically, it's a representation of different topics into this paper. This will be followed by question mapping in terms of classification of question in 3 difficulty levels, which is easy, moderate, and difficult. We will be looking at expected attempts. Having discussed at the difficulty level of various questions, we try to arrive at what should be the ideal attempts in this paper. And finally, we discuss the scores and their equivalence in terms of percentiles. So let's begin with topic distribution. This is how the topic distribution looked like in EOM 1. Okay, so there were 4 questions from numbers and progressions. There were 2 questions from each of the chapters like ratio proportion, time and distance, and logarithm. And there was one question from each of the remaining chapters, which is profit and loss, quadratic equation, simple interest, compound interest, partnership, time and work, set theory, advanced algebra, special properties, lines and angles, triangles, chords and polygons, and circle. So overall, a very balanced paper, except for the fact that a few chapters have a little higher weightage. Otherwise, it's a fairly balanced paper. Now let's come to the question mapping of easy question. Now, when I discuss easy questions, these are the bread and butter for you to score. Okay, so these are the questions you should be targeting in the very first round while you take the paper. Okay. So there was this first question on profit and loss where selling price was mentioned as 450. Loss was given as 1/3 of CP. So we had this two data, and with the help of this data, we can immediately calculate the cost price, right? Once we have the cost price in our hand, we are required to find out the selling price if the profit was 10/37 of selling price. So this was a fairly doable question. Okay. Next one, a question from numbers where it was given that a two-digit number is 3 times the sum of digits. So you can straight away come up with a two-digit number, which is 10x plus y. That is equal to 3 times x plus 3 times y. You can solve this equation, get the ratio of x and y, right? Once you get the ratio of x and y, understand that x and y should range from 1 to 9 only, right? Because it's a two-digit number. X and y both represent a digit, no? So they cannot cross 9, right? So we come up with the specific values of x and y. A question based on set theory was given. It was based on Venn diagram where 143 people were surveyed. Some of them, precisely 58 of them were suffering from blood pressure. Some were around 68 of them. I'm not sure with the numbers, but around 68 of them were suffering from diabetes, and there were 13 of them were suffering from both the diseases, right? So one had to find out how many people who were surveyed were not suffering from any of the disease, which was a straightforward Venn diagram based question. Anybody who have done set theory could have solved this question very easily. A question based on ratio proportion, a very simple one. A is to B was given to you as 3:8. So we can simply assume A is 3K and B is 8K. We can substitute those values of A and B into the next expression that is given, and we can find out the ratio of those terms. A question based on progression, once again, very much straightforward and a property based question, right? Which says that sum of 7th term, 15th term, and 19th term of an AP was equal to sum of 11th term, 21st term, 4th term, and 9th term. And we had to find out the value of the 4th term. Okay, so if you can solve this entire equation, you will end up with A plus 3D being 0, and A plus 3D itself is the 4th term, which is 0. A question based on logarithm, which was simply based on the change of base property, right? So if you keep changing the base in every expression that you are getting, you will finally reach the final answer. This again is a very easy question, provided you know how to use the change of base rule. A question based on lines and angles, where it was given that a supplement of an angle is 7 times the complement. So we can straightforward make an equation here that supplement is 180 minus x. That is equal to 7 times the complement, which is 90 minus x. And we can go ahead solving for x. A question based on circle was given where 2 seconds were there, right? So 1 second was PAB, the other one was PCD. All the required values were given, and we had to find out the distance CD. So this question was based on the direct application of the formula, which was PA into PB is equal to PC into PD. So these are the questions that you should have capitalized on, right? Yes, a lot of this depends upon how much you have covered till now. So that factor always remains there. But in general, if you have completed everything, right, in say, for example, sitting in the month of November, if I analyze this paper, I would have solved these questions first. Now coming to question mapping of moderate questions. So this is the question from simple interest, compound interest, where it was given that a person is investing two different principal. At simple interest 8% and compound interest 8%, where he is investing at compound interest, he is getting the interest on a half yearly basis, right? So anyone who understands how to calculate the compound interest on a half yearly basis would have done this question, right? And finally, it was given that compound interest was 17 times the simple interest. So we can put the values over there, equate, and get the ratio of the principals. A question based on time and work, a very straightforward one, where work was done in 3 parts, right? First, Bhavin and Hans starts working. Bhavin leaves, Hans continues for next 5 days, and then Hans is accompanied by his cousin Sachin, and they can complete the remaining work in 4 days. So we have to distribute the entire work in 3 parts, which was a standard textbook kind of question. Okay, could have been done. Question based on progression, where a 7-digit number was given, where first 4 digits of this number and last 4 digits of this number were in geometric progression. Now this is where you have to apply a trial and error and find out the first 4 digits which are in GB, right? So this is the only combination you can come up with, which is 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay, if you apply a ratio of 3, you won't get a single digit value, right? So ratio of 2, start with 1, and these are the 4 numbers you get, which is 1, 2, 4, and 8. And the last 4 digits again will be 8, 4, 2, 1. So this is how we come up with the first number, right? Here, a lot of students might miss the second combination, which is 8, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, so there are precisely 2 solutions to this. A question based on numbers where n was given, m was given, and we had to find out the number of common factors among m and n, right? So that is where we have to take the HCF of both these numbers. Once we take the HCF, we have to apply the number of factors formula to the HCF, which was calculated. A question based on ratio proportion was there, where this expression was given, that is P plus Q by R, that's equal to Q plus R by P, that's equal to R plus P by Q, that's equal to K. So the K is the value of each ratio, and we had to find out the sum of all possible values of K. So there are 2 possible values of K. You can please refer to our video solution. I've explained this question in a complete detail. Quadratic equation, there was a question with roots being alpha plus 5 and beta plus 5. So the equation was required whose roots are alpha plus 5 and beta plus 5. There is one equation which is already given to us, that is 2x square plus 3x plus 5 equal to 0 with roots of alpha and beta. Right now, with roots of alpha and beta, if you want to find out roots of alpha plus 5 and beta plus 5, you simply need to substitute x minus 5 in place of x. A question based on time and distance was given. When a train was overtaking a cyclist, there were 2 different scenarios given. One scenario, train traveling at the actual speed, it can cross the cyclist in 20 seconds. Second scenario, train traveling at twice the speed, it can cross the cyclist in 8 seconds only. And we had to find out the ratio of the speed of the train and the cyclist. So this was a doable question. Anybody who is familiar with how to solve questions based on train could have done very easily. A question based on logarithm, a standard question, by the way, right, where we had to find out the number of possible solutions to this particular equation, right? So we have to apply the addition rule of log here, which is log of a plus log of b is equal to log of a into b. And finally, we have to take the anti-log to get rid of log. Question based on inequalities and special properties, where 4x plus 5y is equal to 100. And we had to find out the maximum possible value of x cubed into y square. So once again, this was a standard textbook question. Okay, once you go through this chapter of special properties, and once you learn how to find out maxima minima, you can approach these kind of questions very easily. So this, according to me, was a list of moderate level questions. Okay, now let us move to, okay, there is one more here. I'm sorry. So there was a question on triangle where the radius of circumscribed circle was to be calculated, right? We had 2 of the sides given. One altitude was given. So what we had to do is we had to compare 2 different ways of finding out the area of triangle, which is half into base into height. And that needs to be compared with another formula of area of triangle, which was ABC upon 4R. And by comparing these 2, we can get the value of R, which is the circumradius of the triangle. Coming to question mapping of moderate but slightly time consuming question, I have listed 3 questions over here. This was the first one, where a lot of data was given, like A beats B by 13 seconds. To be precise, it was 12.5. B beats C by 17.5 seconds. C beats D by 20 seconds, and D beats E by 25 seconds. So you might find data which is very much overwhelming over here. And just to add to this, it was also given that B beats D by certain distance. Okay, I think it was 375 meters if I'm not wrong. Okay, and then we had to find out by how much distance C will beat E. Okay, so the reason behind classifying this question as a time consuming one, because there was a lot of data which was given. So you might get confused exactly what to be used and when to be used. A question based on progression, where 2 different APs were given, and we had to find out how many terms are common between both the APs, right? So this again is a standard question, by the way, but this always takes some time to solve and calculate and get the final answer. Another question was given from numbers, right, which involved very lengthy description. So this might take some reading time. Okay, and you might have to figure out the pattern, the counting pattern. So you might have to read the question one more time after reading it for the first time. Okay, so there was a particular pattern of counting involved. He starts counting from the little finger, followed by a ring finger, followed by middle finger, index finger, and thumb, and then he calculated backwards. Right, we had to find out when he finishes counting. I think there was some 5-digit number given. I'm not too sure with the number, right? But it was somewhere on the lines of 24,567, somewhere around that. Okay, so when he finishes counting that number, when will he finish? On which finger will he finish? Right. So this was simply a division-based question. A reminder will suggest you the final answer. Once again, to get further clarity on this kind of question, please watch the video solution that we have uploaded on each respective question. Okay. Coming to the question mapping of difficult level, I could figure out around 4 to 5 questions here in this difficulty level. The first one of those questions were from partnership, where we had to compare 3 different scenarios. Okay, the first one was A taking 20% profit and the remaining profit gets distributed between A and B in the ratio of investment. That is one scenario. Second scenario, A and B distributing the profits equally. Third scenario, A and B distributing profit in the ratio of the investment, 100% of the profit in the ratio of the investment. Okay, and at each stage there was a decrease of 60,000 in the profit of A, right? So we could have made 2 equations and equated both of them with 60,000. This was very difficult as well as time consuming question according to me. A question from progression. So a student was counting consecutive numbers and adding them, and he misses out on one number, and therefore he is getting an addition of 1775 instead of 1630. So the difference between these two was your missing number. A question on advanced algebra, where we had to find out the number of natural solutions of 5x plus 2y plus 6 equal to 3xy. Now this question might look very simple, very small description, simple looking equation. Okay, but let me tell you, such kind of questions where you are finding out the number of solutions are always challenging, because we had to be, completely sure that this is the exact number of solution, and this always involves some bit of trial and error. A question from numbers, where we had to find out the remainder of 6 raised to 66 upon 67. Now this question is directly based on the Fermat's theorem. Okay, this you will be taught at the marathon level, right? So anybody who knows how to use the Fermat's theorem could have done this question within 15 seconds only. Okay, but since this is an advanced concept, I'm classifying this question as a difficult question. And last question, this was based on quads and polygons, where we had to fit in largest semicircle in a square. So there were multiple challenges here. One, you might not be able to come up with the right diagram in the first go, right? Even if you are able to draw a right diagram, there was some calculation which will still follow after you come up with the right diagram. Okay, so this, according to me, are the 5 questions which are difficult and which were best avoided in this paper, because you had a lot of other questions where you can score from. Now, having discussed this difficulty level, okay, let me guide you through the expected attempts. So this is how the distribution looks like in terms of difficulty level. We discussed 8 easy questions, right? And whenever you are taking a paper, we expect you to capitalize on easy questions the most, okay? And out of 8 questions, we're expecting you to solve around 7 questions, okay? Provided if you have, completed all the chapters, okay? Always everything is based on that assumption only, right? We are not expecting you to score 7 questions sitting in the month of March. This is the expectation in the month of November, okay? Moderate level questions, there are 10 of them that we covered here. Okay, we expect you to solve again a good chunk out of these questions as well, which is 8 questions out of 10. Moderate but time consuming, there were 3 questions, 2 were doable, I guess so. Okay, and there were 5 difficult questions that we discussed, 2 could have been done, right? So out of 26 questions in total, I'm expecting you to make 19 attempts if you are a well-prepared student. Okay, and let us equate the percentile against the scores in the next slide. So we discussed around 19 expected attempts. This is where I'm expecting 85% accuracy. So keeping the accuracy at 85, I can expect 16 out of 19 questions to be correct. Remaining 3 will be incorrect. And therefore, your expected net score should be 46. Okay. So this 46 will make my 98 percentile. Okay, so by this calculation, we are directly reaching 98 percentile. And this is how the percentile chart looks like. Look at the highlighted cells first. Okay, we are mapping 98 percentile at a score of 46, right? If you want to go a little higher than this, 99 percentile is at 48.5, 100 percentile is at 62, and 95 is mapped at 40 marks, 90 is at 34 marks, and 80 is at 23 marks. Okay. Now I'll be also giving you the overall analysis, right? All three sections together. So look at the next slide. This is how the overall analysis looks like, right? 80 percentile, overall score required to reach this level is 64. I hope you can just look at the last column here, okay? Because the three middle column we have already discussed section wise, okay? So pay attention to the last column over here, 80 percentile. The required score for this will be 64 marks, right? For 90 percentile, you require 77 as the final score or as the net score, okay? 95 percentile, you can get it at 92 overall score. 98 percentile, you can get it at 112 overall score. 99 at 117 and 100 percentile at 162. Okay. Now here I want you to observe one thing, right? Just compare these scores required to get 80 percentile in QA and DI. They are 23 and 24 respectively. Look at this two. Okay. Look at these two. 23. 24. So they're very close to each other as of now when we compare 80 percentile. Okay. But for the upcoming slabs of percentiles, the quant score is increasing at a faster pace, right? Look at this. If you just compare 99 percentile, quant is 48, DILR is only 40. So quant score is increasing at a faster pace. Now this simply means that there were a lot of scoring questions in QA section, a lot of one-liners where you can score quickly. Okay. Another thing, now while we say that these are the expected scores, like 64 is the expected score for 80 percentile and 77 is the expected score for 90 percentile. Okay, so while we say that these are the expected scores, I once again would want you to remind that these are the expected scores in the month of November, okay, and not in the month of March, which is fairly 8 to 9 months away from here, and you can utilize this 8 to 9 months to bridge the gap between where you are currently and where you want to go. Okay, and a lot of this content and a lot of this will happen through content addition, which is solving material and learning new topics. Okay, and the last thing, let me just guide you on how you can pursue these numbers. Let us assume that you are the one who are targeting 99 plus percentile, right? So you might be looking at a score of 117 as of now, okay? But do not directly target a score of 117, okay? Because you might not be able to reach straight away at 117. You might be at 40 currently, or you might be at 50 currently, okay? So just try and enter this list, okay? So this is the first number that you should target, okay? Always try to pursue 80 percentile first. Get into this list first. Okay, so pursue a score of 64, right? Get it in 2 back-to-back mocks, right? Once you secure a level of 80 percentile, now your next target has to be to reach 90 percentile. So you'll be keeping this number in mind, which is 77. So that is how you set a milestone in between, right? Rather than directly targeting the ultimate score. Okay. So these are the different milestones you need to cross one by one, that is 80, 90, 95, 98, in order to reach your final target of 99 percentile, which is kept at 117. Okay, so this is how you can pursue these numbers. Okay, do not look at the ultimate target straight away. Okay, always take a look at the milestones. So this is it from me, students. I hope you have enjoyed this, and thanks for joining. Good night.